Now let us turn our attention to a habit that plagues so many, a habit that gnaws at the very root of our creative power. I speak, my dear friends, of regret. Regret. That insidious thief of joy. How many countless hours have you spent dwelling on the what ifs and if onlys of your past? How many sleepless nights have you tossed and turned, replaying old scenarios, wishing you had acted differently? I tell you now with absolute certainty that every moment spent in regret is a moment wasted. It is a denial of your divine nature, a rejection of the immense power that resides within you. You see, my frame is but an illusion, and the past, present, and future exist simultaneously in the eternal now. When you indulge in regret, you are not merely reminiscing about days gone by. No. You are actively creating that very state in your present moment. You are breathing life into those old patterns, those old limitations, and projecting them into what you perceive as your future. Is this not a grave misuse of your God-given creative faculties? Consider this. The world you see around you, the circumstances of your life, are nothing more than outpictured states of consciousness. They are the harvest of seeds you have planted in the fertile soil of your imagination. When you water these seeds with the bitter tears of regret, what kind of crop do you expect to reap? I say to you now, let go of this fruitless endeavor. Release your grip on past mistakes, real or imagined, for in truth there are no mistakes, only experiences that shape the contours of your consciousness. Each event, each decision, each twist and turn of your journey has led you to this very moment, this eternal now in which all possibilities exist. Imagine, if you will, that your life is a vast, boundless ocean. Regret is akin to thrashing about in the waters of the past, expending precious energy on waves that have long since broken upon the shore. But you, my dear friends, are not meant to be at the mercy of these turbulent waters. You are the master of this ocean, capable of commanding its tides with the power of your imagination. So I ask you, why waste your divine creative energy on that which cannot be changed? The past in its physical manifestation is unalterable. But its meaning, its significance in the grand tapestry of your life, that is entirely within your control. You have the power to reinterpret every experience, to extract wisdom and growth from even the most challenging of circumstances. Let's delve deeper into this concept. When you find yourself tempted by the siren song of regret, pause for a moment, take a deep breath, and remember who you truly are. You are not a helpless victim of circumstance, but a powerful creator molding the clay of experience with the tools of imagination and belief. In this eternal now, you have the power to choose again. You can select a new state of consciousness, one that aligns with your deepest desires and highest aspirations. This, my friends, is the true purpose of your past experiences, not to bind you with chains of regrets, but to serve as a springboard for your growth and evolution. Consider the great figures of history, those who have left an indelible mark on our world. Do you think they achieved greatness by wallowing in regret over past failures or missed opportunities? Certainly not. They understood, perhaps intuitively, the great secret that I now share with you, the creative power of the present moment. Take, for instance, the inventor Thomas Edison. When his laboratory burned to the ground, destroying years of work and countless prototypes, did he succumb to regret? Did he bemoan his fate and curse the unfairness of life? No, my friends. Instead, he famously remarked, "All our mistakes are burned up. Now we can start anew." This is the attitude of a true creator, one who understands the limitless potential of the present moment. Or consider the life of Helen Keller, who overcame seemingly insurmountable obstacles to become a beacon of inspiration for millions. Did she waste time regretting her lack of sight and hearing? No. She chose instead to focus on what she could do, on the vast potential that lay within her. She once said, "When one door of happiness closes, another opens." But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one which has been opened for us. This, my dear friends, is the crux of our discussion today. How often do we stand before the closed doors of our past, pounding futilely against their unyielding surface, while the doors of infinite possibility stand wide open behind us? How often do we chain ourselves to the dead weight of regret, ignorant of the wings of imagination that could lift us to unimaginable heights? I tell you now, the time for this self-imposed limitation is over. The era of regret must come to an end if you were to step into the fullness of your divine creative power. For you see, every moment spent in regret is a denial of the truth of your being. It is a rejection of the gift of life itself, a squandering of the precious present in which all creation takes place. Let us pause for a moment and truly contemplate the nature of time in your day-to-day experience. Time appears to flow in a linear fashion past, present, future. But I assure you this is merely an illusion, a convenient construct of the human mind. In reality, all time exists simultaneously in the eternal now. This means, my friends, that the past you regret and the future you desire are not separate from you. They exist now as states of consciousness that you can enter at will. When you dwell in regret, you are choosing to occupy a state of lack, of missed opportunities, of failure. But this is the state from which you wish to create your life. I say to you, choose wisely the state you occupy, for surely as the sun rises in the east, your outer world will rearrange itself to match your inner state. This is the law of assumption, the fundamental principle upon which all creation rests. When you assume the state of regret, you are essentially saying to the universe, this is who I am. I am a person who makes mistakes, who misses opportunities, who fails. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and perfect law, will provide you with experiences that match this assumption. But what if instead of regret, you were to assume a state of wisdom? What if you were to look upon your past experiences not with sorrow and self-recognition, but with gratitude for the lessons learned? What if you were to see each perceived mistake as a necessary step on your path to greatness? Imagine for a moment that you were an actor in a grand play. Each scene, each line of dialogue has been carefully crafted to bring you to this very moment. Would you waste time regretting a line delivered in the first act? Would you berate yourself for a gesture made in scene 2? Of course not. You would understand that each moment was necessary for the unfolding of the story. Your life, my dear friends, is just such a play. You are both the actor and the author performing on the stage of eternity. Each experience, each decision, each apparent mistake has brought you to this moment of infinite potential. To regret any part of it, to misunderstand the very nature of your journey. So I implore you, let go of regret. Release it as you would a balloon into the vast sky of possibility. Watch as it drifts away, becoming smaller and smaller until it disappears entirely from your field of vision. Feel the lightness that comes with this release, the sudden expansion of your creative power. You see, regret is nothing more than a state of consciousness, a lens through which you view your world. And like any lens, it can be changed. You have the power to choose a new perspective, a new state from which to create your reality. Perhaps you're wondering, but Wayne, how can I simply let go of regrets? These feelings have been with me for so long. To this I say, through the power of your wonderful human imagination, for imagination is the very substance of creation, the clay from which all experience is molded. Close your eyes for a moment, if you will, and imagine yourself free from the burden of regret. See yourself standing tall, your eyes bright with the light of possibility. Feel the lightness in your heart, the spring in your step. Hear the laughter in your voice as you embrace life with open arms, unencumbered by the weight of past regrets. This, my friends, is not mere fantasy. This is the creative act in its purest form. As you imagine this state, as you feel its reality, you are literally rearranging the substance of your being. You are choosing a new state of consciousness, one of freedom, joy, and unlimited potential. Now open your eyes and look around you. The world may appear unchanged, but I assure you a profound shift has occurred. You have planted a seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, and it will inevitably bear fruit in your outer world. This is the magic of living in the end, of occupying the state of your wish fulfilled, when you consistently imagine yourself free from regret. When you feel the relief and joy of this state, your outer world must conform to this inner reality. It is law. But remember, my dear friends, this is not a one-time exercise. The habit of regret may try to reassert itself, tempting you back into its familiar embrace. When this happens, and it likely will, do not despair. Do not fall into the trap of regretting your regret. Simply acknowledge the feeling, thank it for reminding you of your commitment to live regret-free, and gently return to your chosen state of joy and possibility. This practice, this constant choosing of your state of consciousness, is the very essence of living a deliberate, created life. It is the difference between being a victim of circumstance and being the author of your own destiny. Consider for a moment the energy you have expended on regret throughout your life. The sleepless nights, the anxious days, the opportunities missed because you were too focused on past mistakes. Now imagine channeling all that energy to creating the life of your dreams. Imagine the power of that focused intention, that concentrated creative force. This, my friends, is the gift you give yourself when you choose to live without regret. You reclaim your creative power. You step into the fullness of your divine nature. You become, in truth, the operant power in your world. But let's be clear, living without regret does not mean living without reflection or learning. It does not mean blithely ignoring the consequences of our actions or failing to make amends when necessary. Rather, it means approaching our past experiences with a spirit of wisdom and growth rather than self-recrimination and despair. When you find yourself tempted to regret, pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? How can I use this knowledge to create a better future? In this way, you transform what might have been regret into fuel for your growth and evolution. Remember, my dear friends, that in a moment you are creating your future. Each thought, each feeling, each assumption is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. When you paint with the dark colors of regret, is it any wonder that your world seems gloomy and limited? But when you choose the vibrant hues of possibility, when you assume the best of yourself and your world, you create a masterpiece of living. Your life becomes a testament to the creative power of consciousness, an inspiration to all who encounter you. I say to you now, with all the conviction of my being, do not waste another precious moment in regret. Your past does not define you unless you allow it to. You are not the sum of your mistakes, but the totality of your creative potential. Embrace this truth. Feel it in every fiber of your being. Let it infuse your thoughts, your words, your actions. For as you assume this state of limitless possibility, as you live from the end of your desires fulfilled, you become a living embodiment of the creative principle itself. Imagine, if you will, a garden. In this garden, you have planted many seeds over the years. Some have grown into beautiful flowers, others into sturdy trees. But there are also weeds, the weeds of regret, of self-doubt. These weeds threaten to choke out the beauty and abundance of your garden. Now you have a choice. You can spend your days lamenting the presence of these weeds, regretting the fact that you allow them to take root. Or you can roll up your sleeves and get to work. You can pull out these weeds one by one, replacing them with seeds of possibility, of joy. This, my friends, is the work before us. It is the sacred task of the conscious creator. We must tend the garden of our minds with the same care and diligence that we would give to a physical garden. We must be vigilant, pulling out the weeds of regret as soon as they appear, never allowing them to take root and spread. But how, you might ask, do we accomplish this? How do we maintain this state of regret free living in a world that seems determined to remind us of our past mistakes and limitations? The answer, as always, lies in your wonderful human imagination. For you see, your imagination is not bound by the so-called facts of your physical world. It is not limited by what has been or what seems to be. Your imagination is free to soar beyond the confines of your current circumstances, to explore the infinite possibilities that exist in the realm of pure potential. When you find yourself slipping into regret, when you feel the tendrils of past mistakes trying to pull you back, close your eyes and imagine. Imagine yourself as you wish to be confident, joyful, free from the burden of regret. Feel the lightness in your heart, the spring in your step. Hear the laughter in your voice as you embrace life with open arms. This imaginal act is not mere fantasy or escapism. It is the most practical and powerful thing you can do. For as you assume this state in your imagination, as you feel its reality, you are literally rearranging the substance of your being. You are choosing a new state of consciousness, and your outer world must, by law, rearrange itself to match this inner reality. Think of it this way. Your consciousness is like a radio receiver, constantly tuned to a particular frequency. When you indulge in regret, you are tuned to the frequency of lack, of missed opportunities, of failure. And so, these are the experiences you attract into your life. But when you imagine yourself free from regret, when you assume the state of joy and possibility, you change the frequency. You tune into the station of abundance, of opportunity, of success. And just as surely as a radio receives the signal it's tuned to, your life experiences will shift to match this new frequency. This, my dear friends, is the power you hold within you. It is the power to choose your state of consciousness, to select the frequency you wish to broadcast to the universe. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and perfect law, will provide you with experiences that match your broadcast. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Wayne, surely we can't just ignore our mistakes. Don't we have a responsibility to make amends, to correct our course? And to this I say, absolutely. Living without regret does not mean living without responsibility or accountability. When we make a mistake, when we cause harm to ourselves or others, it is indeed our duty to make amends, to correct our course. But we can do this from a place of wisdom and growth, rather than from a place of self-flagellation and regret. Even should it is. When a child is learning to walk, they fall many times. Do we berate the child for falling? Do we tell them they're clumsy or uncoordinated? Of course not. We encourage them to get back up, to try again. We celebrate their efforts, knowing that each fall is bringing them closer to mastering the art of walking. Why then do we not extend the same grace to ourselves? Why do we not see our mistakes as necessary steps on our path to growth and mastery? This, my friends, is the attitude of the conscious creator. We acknowledge our missteps. We make amends when necessary, and then we move forward, wiser for the experience. Let me share with you a powerful technique for transforming regret into fuel for growth. When you find yourself dwelling on a past mistake, take a moment to close your eyes and imagine yourself having a conversation with your past self, the one who made that mistake. But instead of criticism or judgment, approach this younger version of yourself with compassion and understanding. Share with them the wisdom you've gained, the lessons you've learned. Thank them for their part in your journey, but without their experiences, you would not be who you are today. This imaginal act serves two purposes. First, it helps you reframe your past experiences in a more positive light, seeing them as necessary steps on your path rather than regrettable mistakes. Second, it allows you to integrate the lessons learned to truly embody the wisdom gained from these experiences. Remember, my dear friends, that in the realm of imagination, all things are possible. Time and space are no barriers. You can revisit any moment of your past, not to wallow in regrets, but to extract the gold of wisdom from the ore of experience. As you practice this technique, you'll find that the sting of regret begins to fade. In its place, a sense of gratitude and understanding will grow. You'll begin to see your life as a perfectly orchestrated symphony, with each note, each experience playing its necessary part in the grand composition of your becoming. Now let us turn our attention to the future. For you see, regret not only chains us to the past, but it also casts a shadow over our future. When we allow ourselves to be consumed by regret, we often become hesitant and afraid to take risks or seize opportunities, lest we make another mistake. But I say to you now, with all the conviction of my bikini, the greatest risk is not in making mistakes, but in allowing the fear of mistakes to paralyze us into inaction. For it is through action, through the bold exploration of our potential, that we truly come to know ourselves as the divine creators we are. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of a vast, unexplored territory. This territory represents all the potential experiences, all the possible versions of yourself that exist in the infinite realm of imagination. Now you have a choice. You can remain where you are, safe in the familiar landscape of your current life, or you can step boldly into this new territory. If you choose to remain where you are, clinging to the known out of fear of making mistakes, you may avoid regret in the short term. But I assure you, a day will come when you will look back and regret not having had the courage to explore, to grow, to become all that you could be. But if you choose to step into the unknown, to embrace the adventure of living, yes, you may stumble. You may take wrong turns. You may face challenges you never anticipated. But each of these experiences will be a treasure, a piece of the puzzle that is your becoming. Here's the secret, my dear friends. When you live from the state of your wish fulfilled, when you assume the consciousness of the person you wish to be, you cannot make a mistake. For every experience, every seeming detour becomes a necessary part of your journey to that state. Consider the life of any great achiever, an inventor, an artist, an entrepreneur. Do you think they reached their goals through a straight, unbroken line of successes? Of course not. Their paths were likely filled with what the world might call failures or mistakes. But to them, these were simply steps on the path. These were extraordinary experiences that shaped their understanding and honed their skills. Thomas Edison, when asked about his many failed attempts to create the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This, my friends, is the attitude of a true creator, not wallowing in regret over perceived failures, but seeing each experience as a valuable lesson, a stepping stone to success. So I say to you, step boldly into the territory of your potential. Embrace each experience, each challenge, each seeming mistake as a gift. For it is through these experiences that you come to know yourself, that you refine your understanding of your desires and your capabilities. And as you move forward, remember this. The power to create your reality lies not in controlling every external circumstance, but in choosing your state of consciousness. When you assume the state of the person you wish to be, confident, joyful, successful, the outer world must rearrange itself to match this inner reality. This, my dear friends, is the true antidote to regret. Not denial of past experiences, not avoidance of risk, but the conscious, deliberate choice to live from the state of your wish fulfilled. When you do this, regret becomes impossible. For how can you regret the very experiences that are shaping you into the person you desire to be? Let us take a moment now to truly internalize this understanding. Close your eyes, if you will, and imagine yourself 1 year from now. But not just any version of yourself. Imagine the version of you that has fully embraced this principle of living without regret. See yourself standing tall, your eyes bright with the light of possibility. Feel the confidence that radiates from every cell of your being. Hear the joy in your laughter as you recount the adventures of the past year. Notice how every experience, every challenge, Every seeming obstacle has only served to strengthen you, to bring you closer to your true self. Now, from this place of joy and fulfillment, look back on your current self. Send waves of love and encouragement to the you that exists now. Feel this present self at every step, every decision, every experience is perfect and necessary. Feel the deep sense of peace that comes with this understanding. This, my friends, is not mere visualization. This is not idle daydreaming. This is the creative act in its purest form. As you assume this state in your imagination, as you feel its reality, you are literally reshaping your consciousness. You are choosing a new state of being, and your outer world must, by law, rearrange itself to match this inner reality. As we draw this discourse to a close, I want to leave you with a powerful affirmation. Repeat these words to yourself, not just with your lips, but with every fiber of your being. I am the author of my life story. Every experience, every seeming mistake is a perfectly crafted chapter in the grand narrative of my becoming. I choose now to live from the end, to assume the state of my wish fulfilled. In this state, regret is impossible, for all is in divine order. I am free, I am joyful. I am the operant power in my world. Feel the truth of these words. Let them sink deep into your consciousness, for as you assume this state, as you live from this understanding, you step into the fullness of your creative power. You become, in truth, the author of your own destiny. My dear friends, the choice is now before you. Will you continue to waste precious moments in regret, chaining yourself to a past that exists only in your imagination, or will you embrace the infinite potential of the present moment, stepping boldly into the grand adventure of your becoming? I urge you, with all the love and conviction in my heart, choose wisely. Choose to live without regret. Choose to see every experience as a gift, every challenge as an opportunity for growth. Choose to be the conscious, deliberate creator of your life story. For when you make this choice, when you fully embrace your power as a divine creator, you open yourself to a life of unimaginable joy, abundance, and fulfillment. You become a living testament to the creative power of consciousness, an inspiration to all who cross your path. Go forth now, my dear friends, and create boldly. Love fully. Love deeply. And always, always remember, you are the operant power in your world. The choice is yours. Make it a magnificent one.
The art of manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not merely possible. It is the natural state of your divine being. For you are not limited to manifesting one desire at a time, just as God does not create one thing at a time, but sustains and creates countless realities in every eternal moment. Let me tell you that your consciousness, your wonderful human imagination, is not bound by the limitations of time and space that appear so real to your mortal senses. Your imagination, which is God Himself operating in you, can hold multiple stakes with perfect clarity and bring them all into your physical experience with mathematical precision. Now let us understand this principle deeply. When you enter your room at night, you do not light one corner and wait for it to brighten before lighting another. You simply switch on the light and the entire room is illuminated instantly. This is how your consciousness works with multiple manifestations. You need not complete one before beginning another. They all exist then or do in the wonderful human imagination. I tell you, time is merely a device of your mortal mind. In the realm of consciousness, all things exist simultaneously. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that manifesting multiple desires is no more difficult than manifesting a single desire. For in consciousness, there is no competition, no waiting line, no priority queue. Let me share with you a principle that I have tested countless times. When you desire to manifest multiple things, you must first understand that they all exist now in what I call the fourth dimensional world, the world of consciousness. Your physical world is merely a shadow, a reflection of what you have assumed to be true in consciousness. Consider this when you dream at night. Your dream contains multiple elements, people, places, events, all existing simultaneously. Your consciousness creates and sustains all these elements without effort or strain. This same power operates in your waking state through your wonderful human imagination. Here's a technique I want to share with you tonight. Instead of thinking of your desires as separate entities competing for manifestation, see them as different aspects of your already existing perfect life. Just as a diamond has many facets, yet remains one diamond, your desired state has many aspects, yet remains one state, the state of fulfillment. You must learn to live from the end. See yourself already in possession of all that you desire. Make your multiple desires a single composite state. If you desire financial abundance, perfect health, and harmonious relationships simultaneously, do not separate them in your consciousness. Create a single scene that implies the fulfillment of all these desires. Let me give you an example. Instead of creating separate scenes for each desire, construct one scene where you are discussing with a friend how wonderful your life is, implying the fulfillment of all your desires. In this conversation, you naturally mention your flourishing business, your perfect health, and your harmonious relationships as already existing facts. This single scene, when entered into with feeling and conviction, will set in motion all that is necessary for the manifestation of your multiple desires. Remember, my dear friends, the outside world is dead. It has no power to create or to prevent. It is purely a shadow world reflecting what you have assumed to be true in consciousness. Therefore, do not be concerned with the how or the when of your manifestations. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled for all your desires. Now, here is a vital point that many miss. When manifesting multiple desires, you must not strain or effort. Strain implies that what you want is absent, distant, or difficult to achieve. Instead, relax into the assumption that all your desires are already fulfilled. Feel the naturalness of having all that you desire. I want you to understand this deeply. The feeling is the secret. The feeling of naturalness is the key to manifesting multiple desires simultaneously. When something is natural to you, it requires no effort to maintain. You don't wake up each morning wondering if gravity will work today. Its operation is natural to you. This is how your fulfilled desires should feel: natural, normal, and already yours. Let me tell you a principle that has never failed. Before you sleep tonight, review your day as though all your desires are already fulfilled. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the completeness of having all that you desire. Make this feeling so real that as you drift into sleep, your physical world seems like a shadow and your imagined state feels more real. You see, my dear friends, manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about working harder or doing more. It's about understanding the true nature of consciousness and its relationship to your physical world. Your consciousness is the only reality. All else is derived from it. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that there is no limit to what you can manifest simultaneously. Just as a mirror reflects everything placed before it without strain or selection, your physical world must reflect whatever state you have assumed in consciousness. Now let me share with you another profound truth. Your multiple desires, though they may seem separate in the physical world, are united in consciousness by a single feeling, the feeling of fulfillment. This is why I emphasize feeling rather than visualization. The feeling of fulfillment, when achieved, automatically brings with it all that is necessary for its expression in your physical world. Remember, my dear friends, revision is a powerful tool when manifesting multiple desires. If during your day events seem to contradict your desired state, revise them immediately in your imagination. See them conforming perfectly to your desires. This is not denial. This is the proper use of the law. You must persist in this practice until your desired state becomes your dominant feeling. Just as a musician must practice until the piece becomes second nature, you must persist in your assumption until it becomes your natural state of being. Let me tell you something that many find hard to accept. Time is not a factor in the fulfillment of your desire. What appears to take time in the physical world is merely the unfolding of what has already been accomplished in consciousness. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, Do not think in terms of time or sequence. Your wonderful human imagination knows no limitations. It can handle multiple desires with the same ease as it handles one. Just as your eyes can perceive multiple objects simultaneously without strain, your consciousness can hold multiple fulfilled desires without effort. Here is a practical application before you sleep tonight. Set up the scene that implies the fulfillment of all your desires. Make it a short, simple scene. Perhaps you are sharing with a friend how everything in your life has fallen perfectly into place. Feel the joy, the satisfaction, the completeness of this state. Fall asleep in this feeling. Remember, my dear friends, your consciousness is God operating in you as you. Therefore, it has the power to fulfill all your desires simultaneously. There is no need for prioritization or scheduling in consciousness. All is no-do. When doubts arise, and they will arise, for that is the nature of the mortal mind, remember this truth. Your physical senses show you only shadows of past assumptions. Your true power lies in your ability to assume a new state now and now, regardless of what your senses dictate. Let me share with you another principle. Your multiple desires are not separate entities requiring separate efforts. They are different aspects of your expanded consciousness. When you truly understand this, you will see that manifesting multiple desires is as natural as breathing. Consider this. When you breathe, you don't consciously coordinate the multiple processes involved. Your body knows exactly what to do. Similarly, when you assume the feeling of your wishes fulfilled, the infinite intelligence within you knows exactly how to bring about their manifestation. Now here is a vital point about manifesting multiple desires. Do not concern yourself with the bridge of incidents, the series of events that will lead to your manifestation. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The infinite intelligence within you will arrange all the necessary details. Remember, my dear friends, your physical world is merely your servant faithfully reflecting your consciousness assumptions. Therefore, maintain your assumption of fulfillment regardless of appearances. The physical world has no choice but to conform to your conscious assumptions. Let me emphasize this point. When manifesting multiple desires, do not make the mistake of trying to figure out how they will all come about. This is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Here is another practical application. Throughout your day, whenever you think of any of your desires, see them as already fulfilled. Make this your habitual attitude. Let the feeling of fulfillment be your constant companion. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen. You are assuming that it has already happened. This is the crucial difference that many fail to grasp. You are not working towards something, you are living from the end. By manifesting multiple desires, maintain this attitude. Isn't it wonderful that everything is working out perfectly in my life? This simple attitude, maintained with feeling, will do more for your manifestation than all the planning and striving in the world. Let me tell you something about the nature of manifestation. Everything in your physical world is a manifestation of consciousness. Therefore, when you change your consciousness, everything in your world must change to conform to your new assumption. This is why, my dear friends, I emphasize the importance of living from the end. When you live from the end, you are not trying to make things happen. You are simply allowing what is already complete in consciousness to unfold in your physical experience. Remember this principle: your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, everything you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is a shadow of your conscious assumptions. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on maintaining the consciousness of fulfillment. Here is another practical point. Do not discuss your desires or your practice of this law with those who would doubt or discourage you. Your manifestations are sacred, should be kept within the sanctuary of your own consciousness until they appear in your physical world. Let me share with you another truth about manifesting multiple desires. The feeling of fulfillment is your compass. If you are properly assuming the feeling of your wishes fulfilled, you will experience a deep sense of satisfaction and peace regardless of external circumstances. Remember, my dear friends, the law is simple but exact. It works with mathematical precision. Whatever you assume is true in consciousness must be expressed in your physical world. This is why you can manifest multiple desires simultaneously, because in consciousness all is possible in our law. Your physical senses may argue against this truth. They may show you evidence that seems to contradict your desires, but remember, your senses only show you the effects of past assumptions. Your power lies in your ability to assume a new state now. Let me give you another practical application. When you lie down to sleep tonight, feel as though you are lying down in the state of your wishes fulfilled. Consider the satisfaction, the completeness, the joy of having all that you desire. This feeling, impressed upon your subconscious mind during sleep, will work wonders. Remember this vital point. Your subconscious mind does not argue. It simply accepts what you feel to be true and works faithfully to express it in your physical world. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on impressing upon your subconscious mind the feeling of complete fulfillment. Let me share with you another vital aspect of this law. When you dream at night, do you find your dream limited to one scene, one desire, or one experience? No, your dream consciousness effortlessly creates entire worlds, complete with multiple characters, scenarios, and experiences, all happening simultaneously. This is the same power that you possess in your waking state through your wonderful human imagination. I tell you with complete conviction that your consciousness is like an infinite ocean, capable of holding countless drops of desires without becoming full or strained. Just as the ocean doesn't struggle to contain its many waves, your consciousness doesn't struggle to hold multiple manifestations. Now, let me share with you a deeper principle that many overlook. When you truly understand that all of time exists, now you will realize that there is no such thing as sequence in consciousness. Your tomorrow, your next year, your perfect life. They all exist now in the eternal moment of consciousness. Consider this when you enter a movie theater. The entire film exists on the reel, though you experience it scene by scene. Similarly, all your desires exist, and all in consciousness, though they may appear to manifest sequentially in your physical experience. This is why I tell you that manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not only possible, but natural. Here is another profound truth. Your consciousness is not divided into compartments. It doesn't maintain separate folders for your different desires. All your desires exist in a unified state of fulfillment in consciousness. This is why focusing on the feeling of complete fulfillment naturally brings about the manifestation of all your desires. Let me give you a deeper understanding of this principle. When you say I am, you are expressing the fullness of your being. This I am consciousness contains within it all that you could ever desire. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, focus on the feeling of I am, the feeling of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Remember, my dear friends, the physical world is merely a shadow, a reflection of your conscious assumptions. Just as a shadow cannot choose what to reflect, your physical world cannot choose which of your assumptions to manifest. It must reflect all of them faithfully. Here is another practical application of this law. Throughout your day, whenever you think of your desires, do not see them as separate goals to be achieved. See them as different aspects of your already perfect life. Feel the wholeness, the completeness of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Let me share with you a deeper truth about the nature of consciousness. Your consciousness is not bound by the limitations of physical space. Just as a single seed contains within it the pattern for an entire forest, your consciousness contains within it all possible states of fulfillment. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand that manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about dividing your attention or energy. It's about expanding your consciousness to embrace the fullness of your desired state. Consider this: when you look at a beautiful garden, you don't see each flower separately. You experience the beauty of the whole garden as one unified experience. This is how you should hold your multiple desires in consciousness, as one unified state of fulfillment. Let me tell you something about the nature of assumption. When you assume a state, you are not creating something new. You are simply choosing to experience what already exists in consciousness. Therefore, when manifesting multiple desires, you are simply choosing to experience the state where all these desires are already fulfilled. Remember this crucial point. Your physical senses may tell you that your desires are separate, that they must be achieved one at a time. But I tell you, this is merely the illusion of time and space. In consciousness, all is one, all is now. Here is another practical application. When you lie down to sleep tonight, instead of reviewing your desires as separate items on a list, feel the completeness of being the person who has all these desires fulfilled. Feel the naturalness, the ease, the grace of living in the state. Let me share with you another profound truth about manifestation. The feeling of fulfillment is not divided. You don't feel partially fulfilled or fulfilled in stages. When you truly capture the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is a complete whole feeling that encompasses all your desires. Consider this. When you are truly happy, you don't analyze the different aspects of your happiness. You simply feel happy as a complete state of being. This is how you should approach manifesting multiple desires as one complete state of fulfillment. Remember, my dear friends, the law operates with perfect precision. It doesn't distinguish between big desires and small desires, between one desire and many desires. It simply responds to your conscious assumptions with mathematical precision. Let me emphasize this point. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything else, every circumstance, every condition, every event in your physical world is simply consciousness made visible. Therefore, when you change your consciousness to one of complete fulfillment, your entire world must change to reflect this new assumption. Here is another vital truth. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is your most precious gift. It is the feeling that sets in motion all that is necessary for the manifestation of your desires. Therefore, nurture this feeling, protect it, maintain it, regardless of appearances. Remember, my dear friends, you are not trying to make something happen in the future. You are choosing to experience what already exists in consciousness. This is why manifesting multiple desires simultaneously is not about effort or struggle. It's about choosing to experience the state where all your desires are already fulfilled. Let me share with you another principle. The state of fulfillment is not a distant goal to be achieved. It is a present choice to be made. Right now, in this eternal moment, you can choose to experience the state where all your desires are fulfilled. Consider this when you dream at night. You don't create the dream piece by piece. The entire dream experience appears fully formed in your consciousness. This is how manifestation works. The entire state of fulfillment exists now in consciousness, waiting for you to step into it. Remember this truth. Your physical world has no choice but to reflect your conscious assumptions. Therefore, when you assume the state of complete fulfillment, all circumstances, all conditions, all events must rearrange themselves to reflect this assumption. For this is the law, my dear friends. It is exact, it is precise, and it never fails. Test it in your own experience. Prove its truth through application. For in the end, it is not what you believe about the law that matters. It is what you prove through experience. And so I tell you again, go forth and apply this law. Live from the state of complete fulfillment. Maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled regardless of appearances. For as surely as night follows day, your physical world must conform to your conscious assumptions. For this is the promise and the law, as within, so without. As above, so below. What you assume in consciousness must manifest in your physical experience. This is the way, this is the truth, and this is the light. Remember, my dear friends, you are the upper in power. You are the consciousness in which all things exist. Therefore, choose wisely, assume lovingly, and live constantly in the state of your wishes fulfilled. For this is the secret of manifesting multiple desires simultaneously. To live from the end, to live in the state of complete fulfillment nano-day. And in this eternal now, all things are possible, all desires are fulfilled, and all manifestation is complete. This is the truth I share with you tonight. This is the law that never fails. This is the promise that is always kept. In closing, my dear friends, remember that you are the upper and power in your world. Your consciousness is the only reality. Your physical world is simply responding to what you have assumed to be true. Therefore, assume wisely, assume lovingly, and above all, assume the feeling of your wishes fulfilled. I want to share with you the most profound secret of manifestation, a secret so powerful that once understood will revolutionize your entire approach to life. Many of you come to me asking why your manifestations are delayed, why your desires seem to take so long to materialize in your world. Tonight, I shall reveal to you why, and more importantly, how to manifest your desires with lightning speed. Let me begin by sharing a principle that most of the world has completely misunderstood. In the book of John, it is written, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Now, what is this Word? This Word, my dear wonderful friends, is not something spoken by your physical lips. The Word is your inner conversation, your mental dialogue that runs ceaselessly through your mind day and night. You see, most people are manifesting slowly or not at all because they fail to grasp this fundamental truth. Your inner conversation is the cause of everything in your world, everything. Not some things, not most things, but all things. When you truly understand this, you will begin to manifest with such rapidity that others will call it miraculous. Let me share with you a story that came to me just last week. A lady approached me after one of my lectures, her eyes filled with tears. She had been trying to manifest a reunion with her estranged son for 3 years. She had tried everything: affirmations, visualization, even traveling across the country to see him, but he refused to meet her. After attending my lectures and understanding this principle of inner conversation, she realized that her constant inner dialogue was, "Why won't my son talk to me? What did I do wrong? Will he ever forgive me?" Do you see what she was doing? She was perpetuating the very state of separation through her inner conversation. I instructed her to change her inner dialogue to how wonderful it is to talk to my son every day. How lovely it is to hear his voice filled with love for me. Within 1 week, yes, just 1 week, her son called her. Not only did he call, but he apologized for his behavior and expressed his desire to rebuild their relationship. This, my dear friends, is the secret that accelerates manifestation. Your inner conversation must match the state you wish to occupy. There must be no contradiction between what you desire and what you internally hear yourself saying about that desire. Now let me take it deeper into this mystery. In the book of Matthew, it is written, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." Your treasure is not your desire. Your treasure is your inner conversation about your desire. If you claim to want financial abundance, but your inner dialogue is constantly repeating, "I never have enough money, everything is so expensive, I can't afford this," then that conversation is your real treasure. And that is exactly what you will manifest. The speed of manifestation is directly proportional to the consistency of your inner conversation. When you maintain an inner dialogue that aligns perfectly with your desire, without contradiction, without doubt, without wavering, manifestation must follow as naturally as day follows night. Some of you might be thinking, "But Wayne, I try to maintain positive thoughts, yet my inner conversation seems to have a mind of its own." Here is where most seekers stumble. They try to force their inner conversation to control it through willpower. This is not the way. The secret lies in understanding that your inner conversation is not something to be forced, but something to be assumed. When you truly assume a state, the inner conversation appropriate to that state flows naturally. If you are wealthy, truly wealthy in consciousness, you don't need to force yourself to think wealthy thoughts. The inner dialogue of wealth flows spontaneously because it is natural to the state you have assumed. Let me make this practical for you. Tonight, when you go to sleep, I want you to do something revolutionary. Instead of trying to visualize your desire or repeating affirmations, I want you to simply listen to your inner conversation. Don't try to change it yet. Just listen, become aware of what you are internally saying about yourself, your light desires, your relationships, your finances. This awareness is crucial because what you will discover is that your current inner conversation is a perfect match for your current life circumstances. Every detail of your life right now is a manifestation of your habitual inner dialogue. This is why some people can visualize for hours, affirm until they're blue in the face, yet see no results. Their inner conversation is contradicting everything they're trying to manifest. The secret to rapid manifestation lies in this understanding. Change the inner conversation and you change the outer world, and this is crucial. You must change it naturally by assuming the state of your wish fulfilled. When you assume the state, the appropriate inner dialogue flows without effort. Here's a profound truth that few understand. Your inner conversation is not just about the specific words you say to yourself. It's about the feeling tone behind those words. When you assume the state, the feeling of that state gives birth to natural, effortless inner talking that matches the state. Consider a woman who wants to be married. She might repeat affirmations like, "I am happily married 1,000 times." But if her inner conversation throughout the day is filled with loneliness, questioning when love will come, or expressing doubt about finding the right person, those are the conditions she's actually manifesting. But when she assumes the state of the happily married woman, her inner conversation naturally includes remarks like, "My husband always does the sweetest things. I love cooking our favorite meals together." These conversations flow effortlessly because they are natural to the state she has assumed. This brings me to another crucial point about rapid manifestation. In the book of Revelation, it is written, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end." This is not speaking of some external deity. This is speaking of your consciousness, your I am. Your inner conversation is how you use this creative power of I am. Every time you engage in inner dialogue, you are defining who I am is. When you say internally, "I am struggling, I am trying to manifest, I am waiting for my desire," you are creating those very conditions. The secret to rapid manifestation is to engage in the inner conversation of the state fulfilled, not the state desired. Let me give you a warning here. Many of you will be tempted to monitor your inner conversation constantly, trying to catch every negative thought. This is not what I'm advocating. Such an approach creates tension and resistance, which only slows down manifestation. Instead, simply assume the state of your wish fulfilled and let the natural inner conversation of that state flow. Now, let me share with you something even more profound about this secret. In the book of Job, it is written, "For what I feared has come upon me. What I dreaded has happened to me." This is not just ancient wisdom. This is a precise description of how your inner conversation creates your reality. Your fears, your worries, the things you dread, these are not merely passive thoughts. They are powerful inner conversations that manifest with the same certainty as your desire. This is why I tell you that no one worry you. When others speak of recession, of difficult times, of impossibilities, you must understand that their conversations have no power in your world unless you accept them into your inner dialogue. The only creative power is your own inner conversation. I recall a gentleman who attended my lectures in New York. He was a businessman who had heard countless experts predicting a downturn in his industry. Everyone was preparing for failure, cutting costs, laying off workers. But this gentleman understood the secret of inner conversation. While others spoke of decline, his inner dialogue remained steadfast. "My business is thriving. My customers are abundant, but opportunities are flowing to me from every direction." His colleagues called him delusional, unrealistic. Yet within 3 months, while other businesses struggled, his company experienced its most profitable quarter ever. Was this a coincidence? No, my dear friends. It was the law in operation. His inner conversation created a state of consciousness that had to objectify itself in his world. Here is another secret that will accelerate your manifestations. Your inner conversation must not only match your desire, it must transcend time. Notice how most people's inner dialogue is always about the future. "I will be successful. I will find love. Things will get better. This very conversation pushes their desires perpetually into the future. The secret is to have an inner conversation that speaks from the in, as though your desire is already fulfilled. In the book of Isaiah it states, "Before they call, I will answer." This is not about some external God answering prayers. This is about the law of consciousness. Your inner conversation of the wish fulfilled is the answer, and it precedes the physical manifestation. Let me be very specific about this. If you desire financial abundance, your inner conversation should not be, "Money is coming to me," or "I am attracting wealth." These conversations, though seemingly positive, still speak from a place of lack. Instead, your inner dialogue should be that of a wealthy person. "I love how easily money flows in my life. It's wonderful having more than enough to share. I enjoy choosing the best of everything." Some of you might argue, "But Wayne, isn't this denying reality? Isn't this lying to ourselves?" Let me address this once and for all. What you call reality is simply the outer picturing of past inner conversations. Your current circumstances, which seem so solid and real, are nothing more than yesterday's inner talking made visible. In the book of Hebrews, it is written, "Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God. So the things which are seen were not made of things which do appear." Replace word of God with inner conversation, and you have the exact law I'm revealing to you tonight. The things which are seen, your current circumstances, were created by the invisible power of your inner dialogue. Let me share another experience that demonstrates this principle perfectly. A young teacher came to me in despair. She had been assigned the most challenging class in her school, students known for being disruptive and unmanageable. Her inner conversation was filled with dread. "These students won't listen. She will be a nightmare. I can't handle this class." I explained to her the secret of inner conversation. She began to change her internal dialogue too. "My students are engaged and eager to learn. I love how respectful and cooperative my class is. Teaching this class brings me joy every day." She maintained this new inner conversation faithfully, even when external circumstances seemed to contradict it. Within 2 weeks, she noticed subtle changes. Students who had never participated began raising their hands. Disruptions became less frequent. By the end of the month, her class had transformed so dramatically that other teachers came to observe what they called her teaching magic. But it wasn't magic. It was the law of inner conversation in action. Now, here's another crucial aspect of this secret that few understand. Your inner conversation is not limited to your own life circumstances. When you engage in inner dialogue about others, you are influencing how they appear in your world. This is why the Bible instructs us to love our enemies and bless those who curse us. These are not moral instructions. They are practical metaphysical law. If someone in your world appears hostile or unpleasant, check your inner conversation about them. Are you internally rehearsing their faults? Are you mentally arguing with them? Are you replaying negative interactions? This inner dialogue is creating and sustaining their behavior in your experience. Change your inner conversation about them, and you change their behavior toward you. This is not manipulation. This is the correct use of the law. Someone in your world is yourself pushed out. Their behavior toward you is simply the manifestation of your inner conversation about them. I had a lady write to me about a difficult mother-in-law. For years, their relationship had been strained, filled with criticism and tension. Every time she thought about her mother-in-law, her inner dialogue was, "She's always judging me. She doesn't accept me. She makes my life miserable." I instructed her to change this inner conversation too. "My mother-in-law is so loving and supportive. We enjoy such wonderful times together." She practiced this faithfully, even though her external circumstances showed no immediate change. But within a month, her mother-in-law's attitude began to shift. Small gestures of kindness appeared. Criticism turned to compliments. Today, they share a loving relationship that amazes the entire family. This transformation wasn't about changing her mother-in-law. It was about changing her inner conversation about her mother-in-law. Now, Let me reveal to you an even deeper aspect of this secret that will accelerate your manifestations beyond anything you've previously experienced. In the book of Ecclesiastes, it is written, "To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven." Many interpret this literally, thinking they must wait for the right time for their manifestations. But I tell you truly, time is a creation of your inner conversation. When your inner dialogue constantly speaks of waiting, of process, of gradual improvement, you create time between you and your desire. This is why so many remain stuck in the state of becoming rather than being. Their inner conversation is always about the journey, never the arrival. They say, "I'm getting better. I'm working towards my goal. I'm making progress." While these seem positive, they are actually creating perpetual delay. Let me share with you a profound truth. In imagination, where all creation takes place, there is no time. This is why the Bible speaks of God as the eternal I am, not the I will be. Your inner conversation must reflect this timeless nature of consciousness. Instead of saying internally, "My business is growing," say, "I am perfectly healthy now." A gentleman once approached me after experiencing years of financial struggle. His inner conversation was filled with statements like, "Things are getting better. I'm moving towards prosperity. My debts are gradually decreasing." I explained to him that this very conversation was creating the experience of gradual change, of endless becoming. He shifted his inner dialogue to speak from the end. "I love having more than enough." The results were immediate and startling. Within days, unexpected opportunities appeared. A long-forgotten investment suddenly paid off. A new business partnership emerged that transformed his financial situation completely. What others called coincidence, we know as law. Here's another crucial aspect of this secret. Your inner conversation must be anchored in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Many attempt to change their inner dialogue mechanically, repeating new statements without the corresponding feeling tone. This is why their manifestations are slow and non-existent. In the book of Psalms, it says, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." This delight is the feeling tone that must accompany your inner conversation. When your internal dialogue naturally flows from the joy of having your desire fulfilled, manifestation is instantaneous. Consider a woman who desires marriage. Her inner conversation might be technically positive. "I am married to a wonderful man." But if these words lack the feeling of being happily married, they remain hollow and powerless. When she assumes the feeling of being a beloved wife, her inner dialogue naturally flows with statements like, "I love cooking dinner with my husband." "Our evening walks together are so precious." "I'm so blessed to share my life with my soulmate." These words carry the feeling tone of the wish fulfilled. Let me share something even more profound about this secret. Your inner conversation extends beyond your waking hours. The thoughts and dialogues that occupy your mind as you fall asleep are particularly powerful. This is why the Psalms instruct us to commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. Most people fall asleep rehearsing the problems of their day or worrying about tomorrow. Their inner conversation during these crucial moments is creating more of what they don't want. Instead, as you fall asleep, let your inner dialogue be from the state of your wish fulfilled. Let it be natural, easy, reflecting the joy of already having what you desire. I recall a man who had been seeking a specific position in his company for years. Every night he would fall asleep thinking about how to get the promotion, what he needed to do, who he needed to impress. His inner conversation was always about seeking, never about having. I instructed him to change his preparatory sleep conversation. Instead of planning and strategizing, he was to fall asleep each night with the inner dialogue of already being in that position. His new inner conversation included casual remarks like, "It's wonderful having this responsibility. I love leading this department. My team is exceptional." Within 2 weeks, not only was he promoted to the position he desired, but he was given even more responsibility and compensation than he had imagined possible. Now, let me address something that many of you struggle with, the appearance of failure or delay in your manifestations. When things seem to be going wrong, when circumstances appear to contradict your desire, your inner conversation becomes crucial. Most people allow the internal dialogue to be dictated by circumstances. This is the exact opposite of how the law works. In the book of Romans, it is written, "Call those things which be not as though they were." This is not positive thinking. This is the revelation of how consciousness creates reality. Your inner conversation must call forth the reality you desire, regardless of appearances. Lady who was manifesting perfect health while dealing with a chronic condition, instead of allowing her inner dialogue to focus on symptoms or medical reports, she maintained a conversation of perfect health. My body is strong and vital. Every cell in my body is functioning perfectly. I am the picture of health. Her doctors were amazed when her condition completely reversed, defying their prognosis. This brings me to another vital aspect of rapid manifestation. Your inner conversation must be protected from the doubts and negativity of others. When others speak of impossibilities, when they point to reality or facts, you must maintain your inner conversation is so vital. In the book of Proverbs, it states, "Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Your heart, your consciousness, is your inner conversation. When you allow external voices to influence your internal dialogue, you give away your creative power. I remember a remarkable case of a young artist who came to me in despair. Gallery owners had rejected her work, critics had dismissed her talent, and her family insisted she find a real job. But she understood this secret. Instead of allowing their voices to become her inner conversation, she maintained an internal dialogue of success. My art touches people deeply. Collectors value my work. My exhibitions are always successful. She told me later that maintaining this inner conversation felt like standing firm in a storm of contrary opinions. But she persisted. Within months, a prestigious gallery owner discovered her work. Today, her paintings command significant prices, and critics who once dismissed her now praise her unique vision. What changed? Not her talent. That was always there. What changed was her inner conversation. Here's another crucial aspect of this secret that few understand. Your inner conversation must be faithful to your assumption. If you assume the state of wealth, but your internal dialogue still speaks of budgeting, saving, and financial caution, you are being unfaithful to your assumption. This divided inner conversation creates delayed and mixed manifestations. In the book of James, it says a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. This double-mindedness is not about having doubts. It's about maintaining contradictory inner conversations. You cannot speak internally as both the wealthy and the wanting, the healthy and the sick, the loved and the lonely. You must choose your state and let your inner conversation be faithful to it completely. Consider this profound truth. Every moment of your day is an opportunity to align your inner conversation with your desired state. When you shop, does your internal dialogue speak of prices and affordability, or does it naturally discuss preferences and choices? When you dine out, does your inner conversation concern itself with the cost of the menu, or does it focus on the pleasure of the experience? These seemingly small moments of inner dialogue are actually crucial turning points in your manifestation. Every internal word either aligns with your desire or contradicts it. There is no neutral inner conversation. Let me share one final secret about rapid manifestation that will transform your understanding completely. Your inner conversation is not just about words. It's about the consciousness from which those words spring. When you truly assume a state, the inner conversation appropriate to that state flows naturally, without effort or practice. This is why attempting to monitor and control every thought is unnecessary and counterproductive. Instead, occupy the state of your wish fulfilled, and the right inner conversation will flow spontaneously. This is what the Bible means when it says, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus." It's speaking of assuming the state of your wish fulfilled, from which all appropriate thoughts and internal dialogues naturally flow. I knew a man who struggled with relationships. He tried to change his inner conversation about love and partnership, but it felt forced and unnatural. Then he understood this principle. Instead of trying to change his thoughts, he assumed the state of being happily married. From this state, his inner conversation naturally shifted. He no longer had to remind himself to think positive thoughts about relationships. The internal dialogue of a happily married man flowed effortlessly from his assumed state. Within months, he met and married a wonderful woman. But here's the crucial point. The meeting and marriage weren't the miracle. The natural shift in his inner conversation was the miracle. The external circumstances simply conformed to his new state of consciousness. Now, as we conclude tonight's discussion, I want to impress upon you this final truth. Internal dialogue is defining your self-concept, and your self-concept determines what you manifest in your world. When you understand this, truly understand it, you will never again worry about circumstances, conditions, or the opinions of others. You will know that your inner conversation is the only creative power, and you will use it wisely and deliberately. Tonight, as you leave here, I urge you to begin this practice immediately. Don't wait for a perfect moment. Don't prepare yourself. Simply begin now to listen to your inner conversation, and then naturally let it flow from the state of your wish fulfilled. Let your internal dialogue be that of the person who already has what you desire. Remember, a secret I've shared with you tonight is not new. It's as old as consciousness itself, but its power is as fresh and available now as it has ever been. Your inner conversation is creating your reality at this very moment. Use it wisely, use it lovingly, use it deliberately. For in the end, there is no one to change but self, and self is changed by the transformation of your inner conversation. The world around you, which appears so solid and real, is nothing more than your inner conversation made visible. Change the conversation and you change everything. And now, knowing this secret, go forth and prove it in the laboratory of your own life, for as it is written, according to your faith be it unto you. Your faith is your inner conversation, and it will not fail you. That is the law, and that is the promise.